welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie, and today I'm here for Read or Delete It Round 3. This is going to be a wrap-up of Read or Delete It Round 2, talk about everything that happened over the past 3 months, oh boy, and also dive into the TBR for Round 3, so I'm very excited to talk about all the books in this video. If you guys are not familiar with the video concept of this series, this is my Bookish on Haul series where I take books that have been on my TBR arguably the longest. So I've been on BookTube for 9 years, so some of these books have been on my TBR for 9 years. And I try to read them in a certain period of time. If I don't read them, I unhaul them. Let's talk about how round 2 went. Yeah, it didn't go according to plan whatsoever. If you guys took a look at this TBR, which I'll insert right here, and you guessed that I only read one book off of this TBR, you'd be correct. Last 3 months, again, did not go expected, very busy. And I was really not in the mood to read whatsoever for the most part. So I only finished one of these books. I did start another, but you know, it's not what I wanted in the end. So let's chat about the one book I did read, and then we'll talk about what goes on with the rest of the books on this TBR. The one book I did manage to finish these past 3 months is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. First book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. This was my pass from round 1, which is where if I start a book, usually, and couldn't finish it within the time period, but I'm enjoying it enough to continue, then I give it another chance and the next round. So this is my pass from round 1, and I literally finished this on the last day of the reading challenge. If you guys are not familiar with A Game of Thrones, I'm sure many of you are. It is an adult high fantasy series that is following a number of ruling families who are all fighting to compete for the throne that rules the entire kingdom, and we're following, I think, 5 major ones, and there's a couple of other ones that are mentioned, as again they're competing against each other for the throne. So I have these mass market paperback editions. These again have been on my TBR since I started BookTube, and honestly, I loved the book. I really did. I really enjoyed the book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I will be continuing on with the series, but I'm unhauling all these editions because I cannot stand mass market paperback editions. So if you look at it, besides one book, I'm unhauling this entire TBR from round 2. Thoughts on Game of Thrones, again, are mostly positive. It is a very dense and thick book, as you can imagine. I actually ended up switching over to a library edition of this book that is a little bit easier to read because the print is so damn small on this that it was taking me forever to get through it. And again, I was really enjoying it. It wasn't the book spell at all. It's just the edition that I bought. So that is the reason I am unhauling these editions, but I do plan on continuing on with the series. So that is all my thoughts on Game of Thrones. The rest of the TBR. Now, I have 5 other books that I could count as a pass for the next round of Read or Delete It. And be surprised on which one I picked. I actually started Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I got like 20 pages in. It is definitely not the book's fault that I did not continue on with this. I started this when I was on vacation in the UK back in June, and I think it was a case of the wrong timing for reading this book. I got 20 pages in, and it's not a bad book by any means. I was really liking it, but again, I just had no motivation to read during that time, and since the past 3 months, I never picked it back up. And again, it's not the book's fault. So you figured, Jackie, you started this book. Why are you not counting as a pass? And I'll explain why in a second. Why I decided not to use this as my pass for the next round is for a few different reasons, but the main one is that I am just not a contemporary reader. I mostly read science fiction, fantasy, and horror. So I, again, don't think this is the right book for me right now. This is something I could return to in the future. I could always pick it up on audiobook. I could read it from my library. I'm definitely not counting out reading this again. It's just not a book that I am really motivated to read right this moment. So that is why I'm unhauling this, as well as basically every other book on this TBR from round 2. I am counting as my pass from round 2, though, is going to be The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is an adult standalone fantasy novel that is following a queendom, and we're following 3 main characters who are living in this world. There's dragons involved. That's really all I know, if I'm being 100% honest. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this book. A lot of people love it. I believe it does have a prequel, but it's not like a direct tie into this novel, so That is really catching my eye. A good, chunky, standalone fantasy is just what I want during the fall, so I'm really excited to dive in. And to the rest of the TBR for the round 3 of this read along. Now let's start round 3. I have a lot smaller books for this TBR because, again, I have the Priory of the Orange Tree, which is, I think, 800 pages long, and I'm back in school now, so I am rather busy. But, again, I have extra motivation to read now. I'm in the mood to read again, so let's chat about the books that I will be, hopefully, crossing my fingers, reading over the next 3 months. The first book that is on the TBR for round 3 is going to be Unwind by Neil Shusterman. Books by this author on my TBR. I have this and I have Scythe. And both of them have caught my eye in the past. This one has just been on my TBR the longest, but I have heard also very good things about this as well as Scythe. And I'm really excited to dive in. This is a YA dystopia novel. It's the first book in the 6-book series. We are following 3 main characters who live in a world where there was a civil war over reproductive rights, and abortion was outlawed during this time. And basically, instead of abortion, the parents can have the opportunity to have their children unwound, which basically means they're organs donated to donors who need them. And we're following 3 characters who are, dealing with the consequences of this new law that's been put into place. Again, I've heard fantastic things about this. I love dystopian. That is my favorite genre to read. So I think I'm really going to like this. Am I a little nervous because it seems like it could be very prevalent to this day? Yes, but I think I really like it and I'm really excited to share my thoughts. For the TBR is going to be The Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This is a YA fantasy novel. This is the edition I got in my Owl Crate back when I used to do those unboxings. And I really don't know much about it, but I'm going to read what it says right on the back of it because I've heard fantastic things about this book as well. It says, a fox shapeshifter sworn to hide a mysterious scroll, a secret assassin under orders to kill to obtain it. Hunted by demons, gods, and shadows, their wary brawn may break them or alter the course of the world. That's all I need to know. Sounds amazing. I can't wait to dive in. This book on this TBR, I'm a little nervous about because this is a booktube darling. So many of my friends here at booktube love this book, and I am excited to read it, but also a little nervous, and that's going to be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is adult historical fiction, which is very, very outside my wheelhouse, but again, I've heard nothing but rave reviews about this. We're following 2 sisters during World War II as their relationship is basically put to the test during this very, very difficult time. I heard, again, nothing but fantastic things about this. I heard it's going to make me absolutely sob my eyes out, which if that says anything, that makes me a little even more nervous to dive in. But again, this is a booktube darling. So many people, I don't think I know a single person on this platform personally that has not loved this book, and that's saying a lot. So I have my expectations high. I've had my own personal family who has read this book absolutely love it too, which makes my expectations even higher. So yeah, if you guys have read this book, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. I'm very curious, but again, I'm very excited to dive in. So we have Pride by Ibby Zavoy. This is yet another Owl Crate book that I got when I used to do those unboxings back a few years ago. And it is following 2 main characters living in Brooklyn, and this is basically a Pride and Prejudice retelling. That's really all I know. Have I read the source material? No, I haven't, which is silly of me to say. I really have not read Pride and Prejudice, nor do I have an interest, but I will at some point in my life. But again, I heard great things about this at the time when it was released. I know enough to know what the basic story of Pride and Prejudice is about, so I'm intrigued. We'll see what happens. And the last book on this TBR has probably been a long time coming, and this is probably one of the top books on this TBR I really want to read, and that is Nexus by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This is the second and final book in the Andromeda Saga duology. And I read the first book, Zenith, back when, actually I had an arc of it when it first came out, and I absolutely loved it. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I really did like it at the time, and I am more than likely going to have to reread it before I dive into this, so I can't wait to finish up this series. A YA science fiction duology, and we are following our main character, Andy, who is dubbed the Bloody Baroness. She is the most feared bounty hunter in all of the galaxy at the beginning of the first book. However, things take a turn for the worse in the first book, and she is now on the run from people who are, trying to kill her. I loved the first book, like I mentioned. I gave it a 5 stars. I actually went to the book signing for this book. I'll insert the picture right here. And met Sasha and Lindsay, and again, that was a great experience. And this is also signed and personalized to me, which makes me want to keep it on my shelves even more. So, I really need to read this. It's been, oh god, what year did this come out? I think it's been like 6 years, I want to say. 6 or 7 years. Yeah, so I need to read this and finish up this duology, get another series off my TBR. That is kind of it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give a big thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already for future content just like this. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you guys read any of these books? What your thoughts are, how you're doing. I'd love to hear it. Any of your thoughts down below. And as always, all my social media links are also linked down below if you guys would like to follow me on any of those. With all being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.